All right, welcome back to Tech Training, Day 2. This is the Tuesday one. We're going to talk about marketing referral profiles today, leads and SmartPlans. If anybody's had a tech appointment with me, you'll know all about the marketing referral profiles. We go through that in that appointment, but we're going to go through it today too. And then we'll talk a little bit about leads and what SmartPlans can do with contacts and some consider a lead. So first things first, we're going to go to agent.kw.com. You should have bookmarked because you're going to be there all the time. Sign in. And if you see something like that, either refresh it or just go to a different tab. And you know what? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix this today. That is broken. We're going to remove it. So I'm going to add a new bookmark. Let's see. And log in. Done. Move it over there where I want it. And then we're going to test it. Command line. Look at that. Never get that error 404 ever again. All right, so we've logged into command. Let's talk about our profiles. So there's two main profiles we're going to talk about, the marketing profile and the referral profile. The referral profile is if you click your name up here and go to the profile button, it's going to take you to the connect aspect of command, which is an offshoot of the KW Connect website. And it also, this is the profile that populates when people do a referral search. Let me illustrate that just for a second. I'll go back to command on this window and we'll go to referrals and we'll find a map. And then I'm going to put my cursor wherever your cursor is where it'll zoom. So a little pro tip there. If you put it right where you're trying to go, that's where you'll head. Zoom it in. Go to market centers. And you'll find us, Burlington, right there. So here's a bunch of people in the market center. Let's look for me. And I should probably spell my name right. There we go. So if I click that, it's going to take me to a profile. This is a profile, and you'll notice it's exactly like this screen over here. I happen to be logged into it, so I'll be able to edit this profile because it's my own. But you would notice that anyone else's you click, you wouldn't have that. You just see whatever their profile is, as is like this. We close these windows. So if somebody does a search for you as an agent looking for another agent to refer someone to, that's how they would use the referral app to find this profile. So today we're going to talk about how can you modify this profile and why, who's it for. So you're here, you can change this picture up here. It's kind of long and skinny, so it might take a little bit of trial and error to get it just right. I can help you with that if anybody has a picture that they love. If you don't change it at all, I think it's got a picture of a pretty kind of glossy, like cityscape looking thing, which is pretty nice. Beyond that, you're going to go to edit profile here. This is what you're going to want to make sure is as accurate as possible, all the basic stuff. The service areas, make sure that these are all in their separate little boxes. I think a lot of them come up like this, and then there'll be another town there, and another town here, etc. And what I think, and I've never confirmed this, but I think that when it's like this, there's a keyword that is exactly this, that doesn't represent a town. There's no such thing as Burlington, comma, town, comma, another town, comma, here, and so on. But you might see all your service areas in one box like that. I recommend that you get rid of that, put one town per box and hit the add new and just keep on doing it that way. One town, one box. It's there for a reason, so I think that we should use it. That's how I think about it. And it could make you a little bit more searchable, I think, but again, I've never really been able to confirm that, and I always just concluded that there certainly can't hurt. Your bio here is agent facing. So we're going to talk about the bio and the marketing profile next. That one is potential client facing. So you've got two different kinds of language. One is you're trying to convince an agent to give you a referral. So you're talking to another agent. The other bio is you're trying to convince a potential client to want to do business with you. So you've got two different avenues, two different tones and strategies there. Here, you're talking to another agent. So make sure you're telling another agent things that would make them trust you is the idea. If you want some strategies on that, you can talk to your coaches or another trusted, maybe well-seasoned agent give you insight on that stuff. But just maintain that sort of perspective on who you're typing it for. Also make sure that you're using what we call evergreen content, which pretty much means what you're saying here won't spoil over time. So the example that I usually give is if you're going to say, I've been an agent for 3 years, a year from now, that'll have spoiled. You'll have to come back and say 4 years and so on and so forth. So it's the evergreen version of that would be like, I've been an agent since whatever date. And then this way, no matter how long you forget about your bio, that will always be valid. It'll always make sense to someone that's reading it and be accurate. So keep that in mind when you're writing this, that it's information that won't spoil. Any social media you put in here, make sure you are opted into the referral network or there's no point in doing anything in this profile. And then turn on any of these nodes that you consider to yourself to be brag-worthy, what people might want to know about you. It's whatever that might be. All right, when you're done, click the Save Changes or none of your work will be kept. And that'll be that. You can do that. I think you can change your picture right here too if you want to. That'll load from the marketing profile as well. But if you want a different one for this, you can put that there. And then these service areas should all be on their own pins if you've done it right. Separate lines as opposed to one line. So let's head back to command. We're going to talk about the marketing profile next. So we're back on the home screen here. If you click this, you'll see all the menus. We are going to go to the marketing profile. We get there by clicking in the name. We're going to go to settings this time. And we may have gone here yesterday, but always just double check, make sure your DocuSign is connected properly. That's just a really important moving part of command. Go to connect settings, marketing profile. This is all the stuff that will preload into any of your designs and website, any of that kind of stuff. Now let me bring up my website and I can show you what I mean. There it is. All right. So here, KW Central at the top, this red KW, I didn't put that there. I chose them, but I didn't put those there. I didn't move the little pictures up to the left corner like that. I didn't arrange any of this down here. All of this stuff loads from the marketing profile. So if we go to contact me, all this stuff down here that's going to get moved down once the widget loads up. It's another place to schedule time with me if you wanted to do it that way. And so all of this stuff. So let me show you what I mean. Here, you'll recognize this picture. That picture is that, well, that one I put into another thing, but is this picture. If I had created a new web page and I had that different picture here before I did that, the new web page would come preloaded with whatever picture I had in my marketing profile. So it'll always scoop what's there and it'll refer to what's there presently. I changed my marketing profile. Not all of the things will retroactively change. Some will, some won't. So make sure you've got a little trial and error in your head on that one. So if you're going to make a change here, then you might want to go back and check your website, click through it, make sure all the changes were made the way that you expected them to be made. You might have to click the refresh button a few times depending on how you're working, but that's what's going to load up a fresh copy of the page if you've made a change. So that's how you'll find that. Make sure you got a picture in there, your team logo, and down here you'll have the Market Center logo. If you're not on a team, I recommend just putting in a red KW or something like I have so that you don't just have a blank somewhere on your website. I'll show you what I mean. If I go back to the top page here, a little red KW down here, that would just be a white circle if I didn't have something there and look a little bit awkward. So have something there just so that you can keep the aesthetic real nice. You can get all those logos at kwcentral.com. Go to Agent Resources, go to Office Logos. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Follow the directions up here to pick your favorite logo. Some are transparent. You can save them with the red if you want, or keep it transparent. Just follow the instructions on top to how to do that right. And then there's some KWs down here that you can choose from too. And if you need something that's on a red background that's zoomed way out, depending on how you would crop it, this gives you a lot of options. If I included that one. And a transparent options here. So scoop one of these up for the team logo if you don't have a team to scoop from, and grab one of these and put that in the Market Center logo. Furthermore, if you wanted just a generic KW, you could do that by going to tech support, go to my resources. Oh, that goes to one over here. Let's see. Here we go, KW logos. I apologize. So if you go up here, you can just pop in our Market Center number here, 832, and then you can just download it. It'll download a package of our logos straight that you just saw. If you want those, you can arrange them on your computer that way. You have to unpack them. But if you keep scrolling down, there's a bunch of different designs of more generic KW logos. If you like any of those, you can download those and utilize them instead. Totally game on there. Close that up. Close that up. If anybody has any trouble resizing their pictures, get in touch with me. I can help you, or you can send it to me and I can size it and test it and send it back to you in its good form, something like that. Make sure all of these details are proper, that you got capital letters in your names. That sounds really trivial, but I have noticed that if the first letter of your name and last name is lowercase, some of the alphabetized functions kick you all the way to the bottom. There was someone I was working with, she had a name started with, her last name started with A, but she had lowercase letters on both of them, and she was popped past the Z's because I think it goes capital letters A through Z and then lowercase letters A through Z, and that's the sort function. So if you're lowercase, you're going to be all the way in the back, maybe if you shouldn't be. So, and if somebody's looking for you alphabetically and they can't find you immediately, they're going to assume that you're not on the list, even if, you know, they might not scroll all the way to the bottom because they don't know how the sort function works. So name is proper, capitalized, check that. Military affiliation. Again, this is all about searchability. So if you've got a military affiliation, put it in there. People can do a search specifically for that. So if you've got, if you've served in the military, this can give you just one more edge, you know, use all of your advantages. And there's also military spouse on there too, if you've married to someone who is in service. Bio, this is the one that you would have seen in your referral profile preloaded that you could then change. If you change it here, every time you load something new, it'll preload with whatever it is that you got there at the time, just like we talked about the pictures and everything else. So in this bio, it's more advantageous to make sure that this is potential client-facing material. The way that you're going to speak is you're trying to convince potential client to work with you, not necessarily another agent. Same rules apply. Make sure you're keeping it evergreen. You know, make sure oh, I got lost in my own thoughts. I'll find myself in a second. Right. Make sure that it's evergreen and make sure you're not using local lingo that someone may or may not understand. Same thing with the agent profile. I don't know if I mentioned that over there or not. Don't necessarily use words like triangle, triad, unless you're explaining yourself. You want to use things like Durham, Raleigh, Greensboro, towns that people know about. So if they're not from the area, they know what you're trying to say. And again, if you've got clients that are, you know, maybe don't know the area so well, it could be the same idea. So you'll want to make a strategy judgment call with that for sure. After that, all of this other stuff is just fill it in, make sure it's accurate. Compliance, this needs to be there. At least each office is independently owned and operated. It may need to be any further. If you want to go further than that, you can get in touch with the broker in charge or your productivity coach or a seasoned trusted agent that can maybe give you some insight on what that's all about. But I do know that I've been encouraged to make sure people have at least this much in their legal footer text. Social media, all that stuff. So those are the two profiles. I'm going to go back home. And I'm going to make sure that I didn't miss any details on my little notes over here. Let me just take a look. Okay. All right, we're going to talk about SmartPlans next. So to get there, click that little red KW. You'll see all the menus pop up for all the different moving parts of command. We're going to go to SmartPlans. And we need to talk about, like, what is a smart plan? Yes, I do. Load them up. There they are. So a smart plan is an automated set of events that you're going to organize and space out in a way that you think is ideal. And in concept, I think a smart plan is the best way to make sure that you're doing something exactly the way that you think it should be done every time for you to say, I've done that right. So this is how you organize that. So if you meet someone, pardon me, well, frog in my throat or something. If you meet someone, you know, on the fly, like, you know, walking down the street or a supermarket checkout or something, and you get their information, you know that there is an ideal something that you want to do with that information, how you're going to reach out to that person, how you're going to make contact with that person. You know that if I send them a text the next day or an email a week from now, or, you know, we made plans to meet for coffee and I definitely want to remember to do that. All of that kind of stuff, you know the best route to do it. Now, the problem is is you're going to meet a lot of people and you're going to work with a lot of people. So when you're juggling a dozen, 2 dozen names and they're all in the air, and you're not going to really be able to just keep track of it in your head, like, oh, I let that one slip by. And that's not ideal. You want to make sure that all of the names that you're juggling around your head are being treated with what you consider to be the perfect steps of events to reach out to them, just the way that you would if you were only talking to one person. So the Smart Plan helps you do that. It puts together that plan for you. So let's create one, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's dive in. Plan name, dive in. And we're excited about it. Apply. So here we are now. It's bare bones, and you're going to sort of organize this. We're going to add a trigger later. It's important to note that you can't add a trigger to a Smart Plan unless you have added at least a step and that you have saved it. And I can't stress the save button enough in anywhere you are in command. If you ever see an autosave function in command, it's not actually there. It's a trick. Don't trust it. Save manually, frequently, and all of the time for your changes to be saved. So definitely keep that in your mind. So where are we now? End of Smart Plan. That doesn't make any sense, right? So let's say, okay, I'm going to add someone to a Smart Plan. What's the first thing that I would want to do if I made a contact with someone new? I think my style might be to send that person a text message. So I'm going to do that. That's what I would do. Someone else might make a phone call or send an email or give them a task to go and meet them somewhere or something like that. But we'll say in my style, I'm going to say it's a text message. So click that plus button. That's the first step. Okay. Every step needs to have a delay set between it. So the very next thing you're going to click is delay because you're required to. This should just automatically pop up in my opinion. So you've got this delay, you've got this text, this delay, and then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to send them a perfect text, and then we're going to say, I don't know, 7 days later, a week later. Gives them some time to kind of cool it and they don't feel like I'm just harassing them. I'm going to reach out again. I'm going to send them an email this time. We're going to set another delay. Okay, so I'm going to say, I don't know, we'll let that kind of hang out. We'll say 14 days later, and then I want to remember to give them a phone call. So I'm going to do that. Then we're going to add another delay because we're required to. I'll give them that phone call, and then I'll say 1 week later, I'm going to create myself a task. We'll talk about that, what that is in a second. So send SMS MMS. I can't remember what SMS stands for, but MMS is multimedia something S. I don't know. One is standard and one is like pretty pictures. SMS is text, letters and stuff. And then MMS is if you're going to send a picture or something fancy. So you've got options here. One is static and one is dynamic. Dynamic means there are many messages and you can add more messages. What that is not doing is sending all the messages at the same time. That would be insanity. What it's doing is it's going to rotate through one text to the next if you've got a Smart Plan that repeats. So let's scroll to the bottom. I've got this create task, set a delay, and I'll do restart Smart Plan. All right, and we're going to say it repeats an unlimited amount of times. And the delay here, we'll set 5 days, 5 days, 7 days. Why not? So here we are at the top. I've got these text messages. There's going to be this one. And then I've got this other one. And then I've got this third one. I really like caps button today. And then I think that's all I really need. So I'm going to get rid of these other ones. Let's trash those. All right, so I've got these 3 text messages. So now I know I've got this plan. Someone's going to get this text message. It's going to say this one when I put them on this Smart Plan. So it'll be like add people to Smart Plan, right? So let's remember to save. But I can't because I haven't completed all the required fields. So we'll talk about that. This one is the red because I haven't entered a subject. Here's a great email subject. Make a call. I haven't put in a task name or anything or task description. Okay, and name, and it's going to say doing today. All right, maybe I can save it now. Let's find out. Please complete all required fields. But you can already kind of get a feel for the process. Task, name. Save. All right, we've saved it. So that means I can add a trigger event. We'll come all the way back around to that in a second. So right now, someone's added to the smart plan, either manually or through a trigger event, and they'll get a text. And that's going to skip these two. We're going to go 7 days. It'll kind of just hang out. And then after that, it'll send an email that says, whatever you need to say, the best email ever. It'll go to something, it'll be your subject line here that says great email and whatever it is that you say to them. All right, okay, so 7 days later, they get an email. Then 14 days will pass and I'll get a reminder to make a phone call to this person. Task name, call, and then here we get to use something like merge fields. What are merge fields? Great question. So what they are is they automatically populate data from your contacts list. So if I say contact first name, and I have like 5 contacts on the smart plan, each time I get a task, it's going to give me the contact's first name separately for each time I get it. That was kind of fast. So if we've got, we'll say 2 contacts, one name's Bob, one name's Mary. One day I get, put Bob on the smart plan. The next day I put on Mary. That means as the smart plan progresses and we get to the make a call step, it'll say call contact first name, populate Bob. And then the next day I'll get another task because Mary was put on it the following day, get a task that says call contact first name, Mary. And so it'll always be in reference to the contact that, hit that step. And it's like that for any of the different fields. First name, remember it's like typing. So hit a space if you're going to put in last name, or it'll all be smooshed together as one word and it'll look really awkward. And you've got lots of choices. Depending on what you're doing, you'll have more and less choices. So make a call, you've got first name, last name, their email address, their phone number, their birthday, their home anniversary. So you can give yourself these details if you want to give them the phone number so that you can easily find them and make a call. And then what else you can do is maybe add their birthday or their home anniversary so that you can remember to say, oh, hey, your home anniversary was however long ago, and you have that detail, and it's going to load for every single person that you put it there so that right off the cuff when it is that their home anniversary might be. It'll give you that power to kind of discuss it in that way. If we're going to go to email, you have a lot more choices. That's up here. First name, last name, email, phone, birthday, home anniversary, agent first name, agent last name, team name if you've got one, and the KW app link. So agent first name, agent last name will always be your first and last name. If you're on a team, contacts are assigned to different team members. So if there's someone who's on the team that's in charge of smart plans and they put in agent first name, agent last name, that will populate to whomever that contact was assigned. And it'll always say agent first name, last name for that. So a little bit there. Same with team name, KW app link. I'm going to talk about that not this Friday, but next Friday. The app, you want to make sure you're sharing your version of the app so that it has your picture on it, so it's connected to your commands so that you communicate with your clients. Otherwise, you won't have that connectivity. This link will be your KW app link, so you can put that into an email and people can download it that way. So let's scroll on down. Create task. Whatever it is you think you need to do after make a call in 7 days, task, I don't know, maybe you want to like check in or check your inbox for a response or whatever it is that you think you should do to follow up. You can just set yourself a task and it'll populate on your task list. It'll also give you a little notification when that comes around too. Set a delay and then restart smart plan. Comes right back around to the top. Another option, let's get rid of that one, is you can do add to smart plan. So add to smart plan means you can put them on another smart plan. Pardon me. So a reason you might want to do that is the example I usually give is if you've got a smart plan that's for like warming somebody up. You get someone new, it's on this welcome smart plan. Hi, my name is, this is what I do. Welcome to the family, blah, blah, blah. But you're not going to want them to repeat on that smart plan because it would be weird to be welcoming them over and over again. So maybe you've got another smart plan off to the side that's a little bit more appropriate for them to get over and over again. You've got your dynamic text messages set up so they're getting a different one each time. It's saying something different each time. the email is a little bit more general and it's, maybe spaced out a little bit more. So you're not just sort of like, harassing them really frequently or something like that. So you've got maybe one smart plan that's like a welcome smart plan, getting to know you. And at the end of it, you can say add to smart plan and add them to that other one that's a little bit more appropriate to be on repeat. And then it'll filter them into that one. And then that person's on that repeating smart plan. So that's what the add to smart plan will do for you. And just one use case example. There's always a bazillion examples of what you can do with an add to smart plan. That's just one. So let's take a look. Did we go through all of these? It looks like we did. So that's how you create a smart plan. That's the purpose of a smart plan. If you're using text messages, you'll have to have Twilio connected for that. It's super easy. Just click the subscribe. It's really cheap and it'll tell you all about it over here. So you just take the time to read what loads up. I do know that they use things, the oldest credits first, because what you buy are credits. So $3.16, you get 300 credits. It tells you what one credit gets you. And I always forget. One credit is equal to one standard message, or 3 credits are equal to one fancy message. So it gives you an idea of kind of how far that goes. And if you buy some credits this month and buy some credits next month, when you use Twilio, it'll use the oldest ones first. And that's important because they expire in 1 year. But you'll always use the oldest ones first, so you'll be least likely to allow them to expire if you're sending lots of text messages. So you'll have to make sure that's all set up and connected. If you need help with that, get in touch with me. It's in the same settings area as your DocuSign settings. All right, so let's talk about trigger events. So grab this. Category contacts is all I can do right now. That wouldn't be there unless they were going to build something new out. I'm still kind of waiting to see what that might be, but we'll see. Trigger event contact tag. Again, this is here for a reason. Someday I'll be able to do something else. So let's go to select tags. So what this is saying is, I'm going to select cat lover. What this is not doing is this is not going to say everyone you got in your contacts list right now with the tag cat lover will be put on the smart plan. It will not do that. What it is saying is every time from this moment when I hit choose trigger, from this moment forward, every time the cat lover tag is applied to a contact, they'll be put on the smart plan automatically. And what you can do is if you want everyone that's a cat lover to be put on the smart plan at the same time, you can create the smart plan, put that trigger on there, go to your contacts list, filter by cat lover, and then add them to your new smart plan all at the same time. Very easy. And then going forward, every time you add a new contact to your list and you tag them as cat lover, they'll automatically be put on the smart plan going forward. I've got a little blurb on that. I'm going to read, comes straight from KW Answers to make sure that we hit all the details because these details are important. So what I talked about just now, that this is a going forward trigger, meaning that if a lead contact already has the tag, then they won't be automatically added to the smart plan. So what we're talking about is what we just talked about as far as every time a new tag is applied is when they'll be added. You can add up to 10 contact tag triggers to a smart plan. This is only to add people to a smart plan. If you remove a tag from a lead or contact, it will not remove them from the smart plan. That's important. So if I put a bunch of cat lovers on here and then I take the tags off of them, the people that were put on here will stay on here. If you edit a tag in your command settings, which is in a different menu, that tag trigger will automatically update along with it. Deleting a tag in settings will also remove the trigger from the smart plan automatically. But again, that will remove the people that have been put on it as a result of that. Publishing the smart plan to the shared library, which we'll talk about next, will remove all contact tag triggers from the smart plan, which means there's a way for you to share your smart plans. If you've got one that you're very proud of, you can give it to the KW community. Somebody downloads your smart plan, they won't see the triggers that you have assigned to that because their tags would be very different. So that would be trouble if they try to do that. You must add at least one step and save, and then you will be able to add the triggers. And then let's talk about, this part. This is important too. The Twilio text messages. Close this up. So smart plan text messages are sent out within the window of 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. CST. If an agent attempts to start one at 8 p.m., although it appears that the text should send immediately, it may be held from being sent until the next day between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. CST. Emails do not have a time restriction and are sent out when the email step is executed. So we're pretty much saying you can email anytime you want, but you have to use text messages during waking hours. You're not allowed to send out a text in the middle of the night and bother somebody. So it'll hold that until the next day. And there's this big window that when it would go out the next day. It won't necessarily go out right at the beginning of the next day. It's definitely something to be aware of. Down here, further rules, tips and rules. I'm going to read through these in just a second, but I also would like to say that these rules are here for a reason. I wish that they didn't say tips and rules. I wish they just said guidelines for not bothering people. I always compare this to like the 2 double yellow lines on the road and guardrails. If you're getting upset at the double yellow lines and the guardrails, you're probably not driving safely. So it's the same idea here. If you're getting upset at these rules, there's a good chance that you're probably reaching out too intensely. So let it sort of, guide you into doing it the right way. Tips and rules. And compliance and best practices for outreach. It's a new link. I don't remember that one. Look at all this stuff. So you can read that. And goes along with that. Creating a task allows up to 7 tasks a day per smart plan. Delays must be added between to include more. Send SMS MMS requires at least a 1-day delay between scheduled text messages. Send email requires at least a 1-day delay between scheduled email messages. Setting a delay cannot be less than 1 day in duration, requires at least 1 action between delays. Delays cannot be set back to back. And this is because smart plans cannot exceed a total duration of 90 days. So they don't want you to just like delay to get beyond that. They found a way to prevent that. Add to smart plan allowed once a day per smart plan. So if you add someone to a smart plan and they unsubscribe and you try to put them back on, you're gonna have to wait. If they unsubscribe, you're in a whole other different boat, actually. We'll talk about that if somebody is experiencing any of that. Delays must be added between steps. Talked about that. Cannot add more than 1 version of a canned smart plan, which means from the library, to your library. So you can't run 2 of the same things at the same time. The due in cannot exceed more than 14 days. Restart flow available for smart plans of at least 14 days or more in length. Must be added as the last action on the flow. Per smart plan, touches, which are defined as anything that actually reaches out and makes contact with someone on your contacts list. So not a task for you, in other words. 7 within 7 days, 12 within 30 days, or 15 total in one smart plan. So those are all those different guidelines. Let's head back. We'll go back and save. Save it. All right, well then forget it. And discard the changes. We're going to talk about the library real quick. Up here are all of the shared smart plans, either from Keller Williams or from other agents. You'll see, and they're all rated. However many stars, how many people seem to like them. Let's see here as a popular one is, there we go. A whole bunch of agents are using this one and they've given it an average of this many stars. So you can kind of see how trusted a smart plan might be. And if you're looking for some inspiration on what people are doing, 8x8 new contact engagement, you can hit the little view steps here and see what people are doing. And if you like it, you can add it and then you can go into your library and modify it a little bit, or you can create your own, or you can just click around and just to kind of get some ideas, maybe create your own after you get a couple of good ideas that way. So, and if you create a smart plan that you really love, you can share it to the library. We're in a little published things. Learn about publishing. You can learn all about that. Let me see. Is there anything else I want to talk about today? I think that's it. I got a little link here for a seasoned agent shared with me some smart plans that she really liked. So I'll put this up on the screen here. So leads, sphere of influence, new leads, current potential clients, past clients, not ready clients, and then tutorial and editing smart plans. So if you click through to that, oh, it won't let me in. Answers.kw.com articles, edit an inactive smart plan. If you type that in exactly at kwanswers.com, you'll get the article as far as editing goes. So I won't talk about this too much. You can always just pause the recording and read through it. It might help you out a little bit too. So take a look at that. And I think that's all the content that I have for today. It's a little bit early and this would normally be for Q&A time, but I don't have everybody with me here because it's freezing outside. Probably is why nobody wanted to walk to the training center today. But yeah, if you have any questions at any time, reach out. You all know how to get in touch with me, and good luck.